My name's Brittany, and I used to think silence kept families together, until I walked in on my sister wrapped around my husband in his office like I was already gone. When I turned to leave, she kicked me. 7 months pregnant. And no one defended me. Not my mother, not my father. They said, "Rowena knows how to handle things." Then she tried to name my baby like he was hers. I recorded everything. But what do you do when your whole family is in on the erasure? Would you still call it family? Or start over, on your own? They say baby showers are supposed to be warm, full of laughter, pink balloons, and finger foods people pretend to like. Mine had all that, just without me in it. I walked in slow. 7 months pregnant, feet swollen, the pie in my hands still warm. Apple cinnamon. My mother's favorite, not mine. I'd baked it the night before. Took my time folding the crust just right. Even tied a red ribbon on the handle of the pie dish like I used to do back in high school when she praised me for making things look thoughtful. But the moment I stepped through the community center doors, I knew I'd misread the script. Again, they didn't see me first. Rowena did. And she made sure she walked in exactly 10 seconds after me, in a white dress I wouldn't have worn even before the pregnancy. Tight, sleeveless, low cut in the back, the kind of dress people whispered about in church. And just like that, all heads turned. Not to the mother-to-be waddling in with a homemade pie, but to the older sister who made 5 months of unemployment sound like a sabbatical from saving the world. "Rowena, you look amazing!" "Girl, is that vintage? Wow, you've got that glow." I stood to the side, adjusting my grip on the pie dish that was starting to dig into my wrist. Nobody asked what I brought. Nobody even looked. One woman did glance at my belly, then immediately turned to compliment Rowena's earrings. I set the pie down near the back of the dessert table. Then I waited for someone to say hi. Didn't happen. Funny thing is, I wasn't even surprised. Growing up, Rowena always had this light around her. Teachers adored her. Neighbors called her the responsible one. She was the trial-run daughter, as Dad used to say. I was the quiet one. The she'll grow into herself kid. When we were little, she used to push me forward in pictures so her face wouldn't be blocked. Mom would laugh. "She's just helping you find your angle." That angle must have been invisibility. Now, Rowena's job title was in between roles, yet people clapped when she walked in. I had a full-time position in healthcare administration. No one mentioned it, not once. "You're lucky to have such a strong sister," one guest said, right as I was setting out the plates. Strong sister, right. I caught my mother at the snack table, talking to one of her bridge club friends. "I told her not to bake," she said, voice soft but sharp. "But she insists, always overdoes it. I wish she'd just order from the store like Rowena does." I didn't move. I just watched as the knife sliced into Rowena's store-bought lemon cake, the one with a fondant bow on top. My apple pie sat untouched behind a stack of paper plates. It wasn't anger I felt. Not yet. It was something quieter, like something sinking just below the surface. I walked into the kitchen to get water. Thought maybe some cold air might cut the heaviness. That's when I heard her. Rowena, laughing into her phone. "I'm just doing my duty," she said. "It's a baby shower for his wife, after all." His wife. Not my sister. Not Brittany. Just a role. Something to fill. Like a chair at the end of a table no one sits at. I didn't walk in on that call. I stayed back, out of sight. Let the words wrap around me. His wife. The way she said it. It wasn't just distancing. It was dismissive. Like I didn't exist outside of Tobias. Like I was a temporary title. I walked back to the table and smiled. Handed out napkins. Thanked people for coming. Did all the things I was taught a good hostess should do. But something had shifted. I started replaying moments, subtle ones. The way Rowena hugged Tobias a little too long. The way she lingered near our kitchen island during dinner parties, even when no one else was around. I used to think it was in my head. That maybe I was being hormonal, or paranoid, or sensitive, but now I wasn't so sure. That night, after everyone had left and the leftover cake was packed into foil, I sat at the table and looked at the pie. Still whole. Still perfect. I cut a slice for myself. No one else was going to. The week after the baby shower, I got a call from Mom. Said she was making her roast chicken, and it'd be nice to have dinner, just us. The tone was warm enough, but something in me hesitated. I told her I'd be there. When I arrived, Rowena was already seated, right where I used to sit. The photos on the wall had shifted since I'd last been home. My college graduation, gone. That frame now held a candid of Rowena holding a glass of wine, surrounded by guests I didn't recognize. In almost every frame, she was centered. I offered to help in the kitchen. Mom waved me off. "Sit, honey. You shouldn't be on your feet so much." I sat. No one asked me about work. No one asked how the pregnancy was going. They just poured wine, passed salad bowls, and kept the conversation right where it was safest. For them. It was quiet at first. Then Rowena started. She talked about how hard these last few months had been for everyone. Said she'd done her best to hold the family together, while some of us checked out emotionally. Her words, not mine. Mom nodded like she was hearing a sermon. "You've always been the rock, Rowena," she said. I tried to laugh it off. "Well, I've been holding down a job and keeping a household running while growing a human, so that counts for something, right?" Dad didn't look up, just kept cutting his chicken. Mom barely blinked. "You've always had your own path, honey," she said, like that was supposed to be reassuring. It wasn't. It just confirmed something I'd suspected for a long time. In their version of the story, I'd wandered off script years ago. They were just waiting for me to disappear. After dinner, the lies came out dressed as nostalgia. Rowena launched into a story about how, when we were teens, I'd stormed out of a family reunion because someone joked about my dress. She painted it like some childish meltdown. Guests around the table chuckled, unsure. I tried to correct her. "Actually, that was you," I said. "You'd been caught cheating on a biotest, and—" Rowena cut in smoothly. "You were always so sensitive, Britt. It was just a joke." The air tightened. No one said a word. Not even Tobias, who was there for that exact fight back in high school. He sat across from me, nodding along like it was all true. I didn't say anything else. Not then. But inside, something split. It wasn't just the lies. It was the ease with which they replaced my memories with theirs. Like I didn't have any say in my own story. After dessert, I went to the guest room. It used to be mine. Now it stored Rowena's wine glasses, holiday wreaths, and a bin labeled Rowena, Baby Shower Decor. I sat on the bed. The mattress was firmer than I remembered. The trophies I once polished were gone, replaced by seasonal centerpieces and a dusty vase. I opened the closet and found a stack of framed pictures. One of them used to hang in the hallway, me in my cap and gown, grinning like I believed I belonged there. Now it leaned against a box like a misplaced apology. I stared at the mirror, touched the edge of the glass like it might show me something I missed. "They've decided who matters," I whispered. "And it's not me." Back at home, Tobias handed me a glass of water. "Your mom just doesn't want drama," he said. "Don't take it personally." That sentence sat in my throat like gravel. Every time I'd tried to keep the peace, every time I'd smiled when I wanted to scream, this was what it got me. I didn't argue. I opened the voice memo app on my phone, the one I hadn't touched in months. I hit record. "My name is Brittany Knox. I'm 32, 7 months pregnant, and as of today, I'm no longer letting other people write my story." I didn't know what I'd do with it yet, but I knew one thing. The next chapter would be mine. I didn't plan to go to the hospital that day. I'd already told Tobias I'd be resting, but something pulled at me. Something subtle and sharp, like the ache in your bones when weather's about to turn. I packed his favorite sandwich, turkey with that spicy mustard he liked, and walked slower than usual to my car. My ankles were unforgiving lately. I remember the way he kissed me that morning. Light. Quick. Distracted. "Take care of our little miracle," he said before rushing out the door. I held on to those words for most of the morning like they meant something. Maybe they did. Once. By the time I arrived, the hospital lot was quiet. I parked near the East Wing, his usual building. I knew his schedule, knew when he'd be free. I didn't even knock. I just turned the knob, expecting to see him reading charts or typing notes. Instead, I walked in on hell. There she was, Rowena, sitting on his lap, arms around his neck like a scarf no one asked for. Her legs tangled around him, lips pressed into his, and Tobias, he didn't look surprised. He looked practiced. The sandwich bag dropped from my hand. It hit the floor hard enough to sound like something inside me had cracked. They both looked at me. He froze. She didn't. She smiled. Just a little. Like this was a performance, and I'd finally taken my seat in the audience. No one said anything for too long. I didn't ask why. I didn't yell. I stood there, one hand on the doorframe, the other on my belly. Everything else was a blur, except the feeling of something slipping. They untangled themselves slowly, not rushed, not guilty, like they were bored of the act now that the curtain had been pulled. That night, I still showed up to dinner. Don't ask me why. Habit, maybe, or stupidity. Maybe I wanted one person, just one, to look me in the eye and ask if I was okay. Rowena sat next to Tobias, talking about real estate like she hadn't just declared war on my life that afternoon. My mother thanked her for bringing the family together. No one mentioned why Tobias was late to dinner. No one noticed I hadn't spoken in over 20 minutes. I poured water. I cleared dishes. No one stopped me. Later, in the hallway bathroom, I let one tear fall. Just one. You saw it with your own eyes, I whispered to the mirror. Don't let them make you doubt it. I came back to the table. No one noticed I'd been gone. I smiled. That smile, that was for me. It wasn't surrender. It was survival. I put my hand on my stomach and thought, I'm sorry you had to feel that. When we got home, he went straight to the couch, turned on a game, didn't ask if I was okay, didn't try to explain, just existed, like nothing had shifted. I lay in bed beside him hours later, staring at the ceiling. I didn't confront him, not yet. I knew this wasn't the time. Power doesn't yell. It waits. In the dark, I started cataloging what I remembered. Times, patterns, places. This wasn't grief anymore. It was clarity. They just declared war, I whispered. They just don't know I've already started to plan. The next morning, I didn't wait for him to come home and explain. I went straight to the hospital. I didn't bring a sandwich this time. No ribbon-tied pie dish. Just a folder of bills from the last ultrasound and the echo of that smirk she gave me when I walked in. His office door was cracked open. I pushed it wider and stepped in. Rowena was already there, sitting on the edge of the desk like she owned it. Tobias stood with his hands in his pockets, looking like a boy who'd broken a window and was hoping no one noticed. I shut the door. You gonna explain? I said, or just stand there hoping it goes away? Tobias stepped forward. Britt, let's not do this here. Why not? This seems to be where everything else happens. Rowena crossed her arms, smiling like the scene was playing out exactly how she wanted. You always thought he was yours, she said. He was just tolerating you. I turned toward her. No, I said. He was just too much of a coward to tell the truth. Tobias tried to step between us. Both of you need to calm down. Don't tell me to calm down, I said, voice steady. You don't get to sleep with my sister and then manage my tone. I started to walk away. It wasn't worth more than that. Then I heard her heels click against the tile. Too fast. Too close. Before I could turn, pain burst through my abdomen like someone had driven a fist through it. She kicked me, right in the belly. Time didn't slow. It stopped. I dropped to my knees. My arms cradled my stomach, instinct taking over before thought could catch up. My breath seized. I couldn't scream, couldn't speak. I heard Tobias yell her name. Then silence, the kind that hurts your ears. I remember a chair tipping over, papers falling, but mostly I remember the weight of my own body hitting the floor and thinking, not about them, but about the baby. Don't leave me, please don't leave me. The hospital lights blurred overhead as I was wheeled through corridors. I don't remember the ambulance. I only remember someone saying, "Stay with us, ma'am," and the cold burn of an IV line being pushed into my arm. Then, black. When I came to, I was in a white room with a monitor beeping steadily. My belly felt sore, wrapped in pressure. I moved my fingers, then my toes, just to prove to myself I still could. A nurse entered, smiled gently. "Your baby's okay. Stable. You're lucky." Lucky. That's one word for it. I asked who'd called the ambulance. She said someone from the front desk. Not Tobias, not Rowena, not even a whisper from Florence. I lay there for hours. No visitors, no flowers, no apology. Eventually, the nurse asked if I had an emergency contact. I paused, then I wrote my own name, because no one else was coming, and honestly, I didn't need them to. That night, the hospital room was quiet. Just the soft hum of machines and the occasional footstep in the hallway. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, and something inside me went still. Not broken, just clear. When Florence finally called, she didn't ask if I was okay. "She's under stress, Brittany," she said. "You know how Rowena can be. You shouldn't have escalated things." I didn't speak. "You've always been so emotional," she continued. "It's not good for the baby." Still, I stayed quiet. Tobias left a message. "Sorry, things got out of hand. Not sorry for the betrayal, not sorry for the kick, just sorry it had gotten messy." I hung up. No words, just that quiet kind of anger that doesn't rise. It sinks, deeper than you thought it could go. When they discharged me the next afternoon, I went home alone. The house smelled like lemon cleaner and something I couldn't place, maybe the absence of trust. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and lifted my shirt. A faint bruise, purplish and slow spreading, curved along the side of my belly. I touched it gently, not to feel pain, but to remember it was real. Tobias used to kiss that same spot every morning, called it our miracle. Now, it was a target. I whispered to the mirror, "Never again will I let silence protect them." Then I opened my laptop, created a folder named Truth for Noah. I scanned the hospital papers, took a picture of the bruise, saved both. I didn't tell anyone what I was doing, but I knew what came next. I scheduled 3 legal consultations. I changed the passcode on the home security system, and I printed a copy of that hospital report. Just one, slipped it in an envelope, labeled it, "Start here." If they wouldn't tell the truth, I would carry it. If they wouldn't protect him, I would shield him, starting now. It was just after dinner when the message came through. I'd been lying on the couch with my legs elevated, one hand resting over the blanket that covered my belly. My body still ached from the hospital stay. Everything felt tender, inside and out. The screen lit up. "I'm sorry things got out of hand. I never meant to hurt you or the baby. Please rest. Let me help you if you need anything." It was from Rowena. I stared at it for a while. The words were calm, simple, no excuses, no deflections. I almost believed it. I started typing a reply, deleted it, wrote another, deleted again. My chest felt like it was folding inward. Tobias walked in from the kitchen and glanced at my phone. "She's trying, Britt," he said. "Don't push her out if she's reaching in." I didn't answer. I just reread the message. 3 more times. The next morning, I texted Rowena, told her we could talk. Neutral place, no drama. She chose a little cafe near the hospital. Ironic. She was already seated when I arrived, a cardigan draped over her shoulders like she was preparing for court. Calm, polished. Like someone meeting a client, not her pregnant sister she'd kicked just days ago. "Brittany," she smiled. "I'm glad you came." I nodded, slid into the seat across from her. My phone was already recording, resting just under the cloth napkin in my lap. I didn't plan it, just did it. Instinct, maybe. She started with soft regrets. "I've been confused," she said. "There were lines. I didn't see them clearly until it was too late." I let her talk, let her string together half-truths with ribbon and lace. She used words like family, healing, and moving forward. Said we didn't need more tension, not for the baby's sake. "You deserve peace," she said. I didn't respond, just nodded, sipped water, made a mental note of how many times she said we, but never I. When we finished, she offered to pay. I said no. Outside the cafe, she answered a call, turned her back, just a few feet ahead of me. My phone was still recording in my coat pocket. I hadn't planned for that either. "She bought it," she said, laughing. "She's still as desperate as ever. Tobias owes me dinner." I froze, not from hurt, not this time, from the death of something I hadn't even realized I'd kept alive. Hope. She hung up, turned around, smiled at me like the cafe had never happened, like her lie was still safe behind its performance. I said nothing, just nodded, got into my car, and drove home. That night, I lay in bed, the lights off, Tobias already asleep. I played the recording back. Once. Then again. She's still as desperate as ever. The words weren't sharp. They were surgical. They didn't wound me in the way betrayal does. They carved out the last inch of belief I had in her, or in any apology that came from her mouth. I opened my notes app and created a new folder. Titled it, War Journal. First entry, empathy almost killed me. Not again. The next morning, I sat at the dining table with a legal pad and a pen. I wrote a list of names: Tobias, Rowena, Florence. Then under each, I began sorting documents: messages, recordings, emails, evidence. This wasn't just about truth anymore. This was about insurance. I printed out Rowena's apology message, taped it to the inside cover of my planner. Underneath, I wrote, "Next time someone apologizes, make sure they're not performing for a reward." By noon, I had 3 folders. I didn't tell anyone. Not my coworker who'd sent flowers after the hospital. Not my neighbor who'd offered to drive me if I needed anything. Not even the one friend who still texted every other day, checking in without prying. I kept it all to myself, because silence isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's prep work. I stood in front of the mirror before heading to my OB appointment and looked at my reflection, not to admire anything. Just to confirm I still recognized myself. My hand moved to my belly. I felt the lightest kick, and I whispered, "No one gets to hurt you without going through me first." The envelope looked like any other, white, thick paper, my name typed neatly on the front. I had just come back from a quick walk, one of those short laps around the block my doctor recommended. The moment I picked up the mail and saw the return address, my stomach turned, not from nausea this time, but instinct. I opened it at the kitchen counter. Inside, documents from the county assessor's office, confirming the title transfer of our home. Except it wasn't ours anymore. The names printed in bold were Tobias Creed and Rowena Sinclair. I flipped through every page. My name was nowhere. No signature, no initials, no mention of me at all. They'd signed it 2 months ago. 2 months. I sat down slowly, not from shock, but from the weight of what I now understood. This wasn't accidental. They'd planned this, and they didn't expect me to find out. Later that evening, I drove to my father's place. I didn't call ahead. I just needed to see someone. Hear a voice that still believed me capable. His truck was in the driveway, lights on inside. I walked toward the door, but before I knocked, I heard his voice through the screen window. "She's not strong enough," he said. "Let Rowena handle it. She always knew how to fix things." My hand froze mid-air. I stood there, unmoving, as he laughed lightly at something the other person said. His voice carried no guilt, no worry, just agreement. I didn't go in. I turned around, got in the car, and parked a block away. Sat there with the engine off, keys in my lap. I let one tear fall. Not for the house, not even for the betrayal. For the realization that somewhere along the line, my own father stopped believing in me, and never told me. By the time I got home, Tobias was on the couch, watching a game. Feet up, beer half finished. I didn't say hello. I didn't even take my coat off. I walked straight to the coffee table and dropped the papers in front of him. "Read it," I said. He picked them up, glanced over, already defensive. "Britt, it's just paperwork. You were overwhelmed. I was trying to make things easier." "Read it aloud," I said again. "Every word." His voice cracked on the second page. He tried to explain again, but I cut him off. "You didn't just sign a house," I said. You stole a home, and you didn't even flinch doing it. I walked toward the hallway. Pack your things. You're out by morning. He stood up. Don't do this. Not while you're pregnant. It's not healthy. No, I said. What's not healthy is staying in a house with someone who looks me in the face and lies like it's casual. I locked the bedroom door that night. He left by noon. Next thing I did was call a locksmith. Changed every lock, garage code, alarm pin, all of it. Then I made a legal appointment, found a real estate lawyer who didn't know anyone in my family. That evening, I texted my father. If you ever truly cared about me, don't call again unless it's to apologize, for real. No reply. The next morning, Tobias was gone. So were his clothes, his cologne, and the beer in the fridge. What he left behind was a note. You'll regret this. I folded it carefully, put it in the same folder as Rowena's staged apology text, and labeled it, Threats I Won't Forget. I wasn't done yet. I spent the next few days scanning every document, logging call histories, cataloging texts, took photos of my mail, recorded voice memos after every significant interaction. This wasn't just about protection anymore, it was legacy building. I added everything to the Truth for Noah folder. Each file labeled, time-stamped, organized. I didn't feel overwhelmed. I felt awake. I placed my hand on my stomach and said softly, They took everything they thought mattered, but they forgot. I still have you, and I still have me. That night, I slept 8 hours straight. Alone. Peacefully. And for the first time since this storm began, I had a dream. It was simple. I was painting a nursery, humming something I didn't recognize, and I was smiling. I hadn't touched social media in weeks. My head wasn't in the space for smiling faces, new job announcements, or gender reveals from people who'd barely passed high school biology. But that morning, a friend forwarded me a post. It was Rowena, a photo, filtered warm, like autumn light through stained glass. She wore a necklace, my necklace, the one I designed after my first miscarriage, the one with the small charm clasped at the back, initials engraved in the metal so subtly, only someone who made it would remember it was there. It wasn't for showing off. It was for me. A way to hold on to something I never got to meet. And now it sat on Rowena's collarbone, resting right above a caption that read, Strength in Sisterhood. I stared at the screen. Then I texted Tobias. Did you give her the necklace? His reply was almost instant. She loved it. I thought it was just jewelry. Just jewelry. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. That was all I needed to know. Later that day, I checked my inbox. A new message had been forwarded around hospital staff. No subject line, just a clip. I opened it. The thumbnail showed me in the hallway, pale and swaying. I watched. It was the moment after the kick, after Rowena sent me collapsing to the floor like a broken umbrella. But the video started a few seconds later, right as she reached out to steady me. The clip ran 22 seconds. No sound, just grainy footage and a bright overlay. Nurse steps in to assist unstable pregnant woman. Comments followed. So graceful under pressure. Rowena always keeps calm. Some people just aren't built for motherhood. That last one stung more than I expected. I sat back in my chair, not angry, just quiet. The kind of quiet that settles right before something irreversible. I checked the video's metadata. Uploaded from a hospital email. Rowena's. Hospital PR followed up later with an all-staff memo praising her professionalism and compassion under crisis. No mention of me, not a single line. Then Tobias texted, Don't escalate this. It'll only make you look worse. I whispered to myself, That's the last time anyone writes me out of my own life. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I called someone I knew from HR, a woman I trained with years ago who still worked behind the scenes in admin security. She didn't say much, just sent me a private link. The original footage. This one started 30 seconds earlier. It showed the kick. It showed my collapse. It showed Tobias doing nothing. I downloaded it, watched it 3 times, paused at the moment my body hit the tile, at the way Rowena smoothed her dress before kneeling. Then I created a new folder. Redemption, not revenge. I copied everything. Video, timestamps, messages. I included the original design sketch of the necklace, the hospital visit logs, the baby's name forms, even that first fake apology text from Rowena. I wasn't trying to destroy her. I just wanted to reclaim what they stole. And they stole a lot. I didn't post the footage. Not yet. I waited. There's something sacred in timing. Exposure only works when they think they've won. Instead, I bought a second-hand video camera from a pawn shop on Broadway. Cheap, with a shaky viewfinder and a mic that crackled, but it worked. I started recording myself. 1 entry per day, raw, quiet, true. I talked about memory, about silence, about what it costs to keep things buried just to make others comfortable. They made me look weak to avoid being seen as cruel, I said into the lens. But cruelty always echoes louder when the victim learns how to speak. I didn't cry in the videos, not once. They weren't for pity. They were for clarity. Each clip I backed up to a private server, password protected. Printed stills from the hospital footage and tucked them inside a legal binder. Not for show, for survival. Every night before bed, I sat with my baby's heartbeat in my belly and reminded myself, this story ends on my terms, not theirs. The NICU had this strange way of making time feel longer and shorter all at once. I stood beside Noah's crib, watching his chest rise and fall. The machines beeped steadily, like a metronome for my thoughts. His fingers were still too small to curl around mine, but I held his hand anyway, careful not to move too much. A nurse walked in, young, soft-spoken. I just wanted to double-check something, she said. Your sister mentioned she might help name the baby. Is that still okay? I didn't look at her right away. My eyes stayed on Noah. No, I said. And from now on, please don't take her instructions about anything involving my son. The nurse blinked, nodded quickly, apologized. She didn't mean harm, but harm doesn't always mean to be harmful. Sometimes it just happens because people assume too much. When she left, I stayed by the glass. This wasn't a misunderstanding anymore. It was ownership, assumed, claimed, worn like perfume. That afternoon, I drove across town to see Mr. Alden, the lawyer who handled the trust my grandfather set up. Same man who used to toss me peppermints from behind his desk when I came in as a kid. He welcomed me in like always, listened as I explained everything. About the house title, the hospital footage, the kick. I laid it all out. When I finished, he folded his hands and sighed. I've known your parents for 30 years, Brittany, he said. You know that. I do. You're asking me to tear that apart, legally, publicly. I'm asking for help. He paused. Then, I'm sorry. There's a conflict here. I stood up before he could say more. I didn't take the folder he offered, didn't wait for another sentence. The door closed behind me with the kind of finality people usually only hear in their heads. That evening, I sat on the porch. No music, no TV, just silence, until headlights pulled into the driveway. It was Dr. Marcy. She stepped out of her car holding a paper bag, muffins, still warm. I figured you hadn't eaten. She didn't ask if she could come in, just did. We sat on the porch together. The sun hadn't fully gone down, and the sky had that dusty orange color that makes everything look older. I saw you in the ER, she said, the night you came in after the incident. I nodded, didn't speak. I saw your face, and it reminded me of someone I once failed to protect. She told me about her daughter, the warning signs, the silence she let settle, the years that went by before her daughter stopped calling. Silence made me the villain in my daughter's life, she said. Don't wait until your son has no mother to fight for him. She didn't say it like a lecture. She said it like a confession, and I took it like a blueprint. That night, I opened every file, every screenshot, every voice memo, every document. I made folders, labeled them by name. Tobias, Rowena, Florence. I created a legal timeline using a downloadable template, printed it, highlighted it, uploaded backups to 3 separate drives. Then I wrote a letter to the Hospital Board of Ethics. Not long. Just enough. Included a USB drive with the full security footage. I mailed it certified, took a photo of the receipt. Then, I recorded a video. Just me. My face. No makeup. No script. They tried to bury me in silence, I said, but I'm building a ladder with every lie they told. I didn't post it. Not yet. The next morning, I got an email from the hospital board. We've received your materials. They're under review. I didn't smile. I just read it again and then deleted it. Nothing to celebrate yet. Tobias texted an hour later. You're making a mistake. You'll look unhinged. Rowena left a voicemail. It's not too late to act like family. I deleted both. Then I pulled out the recipe card for the apple pie I'd brought to my baby shower. The one no one ate. I made it again, this time for me. When it was done, I cut a single slice, set it next to my laptop. No candles, no guests, just me and a file named Truth for Noah. I took a bite, closed my eyes, and whispered, this time, it's just for me. I kept the guest list small, just a few names, people I didn't have to rehearse around. Noah was finally home. Quiet, fragile, but strong in a way I didn't know a newborn could be. He slept in short stretches, ate without fuss, looked at me like I was enough, and for the first time in a long time, I believed it. The knock came mid-afternoon. Rowena, uninvited. She carried a gold-wrapped gift with a pink satin bow like it was a peace offering made in a rush. I didn't flinch, just nodded and stepped aside. She walked in like she always had, confident the room would adjust itself around her presence. I let her place the gift near the crib, but I didn't offer her a seat. Later, I opened it. Inside was a plush bear, soft, overpriced. Around its neck, a custom-embroidered ribbon, Lillian, that wasn't my son's name, had never been discussed. The room went still. She gave a short laugh and said, I thought you hadn't decided yet. I didn't raise my voice. Just looked her in the eye. That's not his name, I said. You don't get to rewrite that too. A few guests stood awkwardly near the kitchen. I gestured for Rowena to step outside with me. We stood on the porch, same spot where Dr. Marcy once gave me muffins and truth. Rowena folded her arms. I was only trying to help, she said. I didn't think you'd go this far. I looked her over. Expensive shoes, fresh manicure, that same smugness she'd been hiding behind since the first lie. That's the problem, I said. You never thought I'd go anywhere. She opened her mouth to reply, but found nothing. We're done pretending we're sisters, I added. Family doesn't feel like sabotage. She blinked, said nothing. I went back inside, placed the bear in a cardboard box labeled Forgotten Things, closed the lid. I looked around my home, not big, not impressive, but mine. Florence sat on the edge of the couch, lips pressed tight. She watched me carefully, like seeing a version of her daughter she didn't recognize. You've changed, she finally said. I paused. No, I said. I stopped apologizing for staying the same. I didn't owe her more than that. No more making my life digestible for people who only love in fragments. That night, I sat at the kitchen table and uploaded the final files. Labeled each one carefully. Video evidence. Witness logs. Legal summaries. Letters never sent. Then, I wrote a note to Noah. One day, if you ever wonder why I stood alone, read this. I didn't protect you from the truth. I prepared you for it. I printed the pie recipe, tucked it inside a folder with the sketch of the necklace I never got to wear. I didn't cry. They weren't just keepsakes. They were scars I chose to keep visible. Then I deleted the folder labeled Redemption. I didn't need redemption. I needed rest. Morning came soft. Sunlight filtered into the nursery. I sat in the rocker with Noah swaddled against my chest. The house didn't buzz. It breathed. I opened my laptop and started my first blog post, wrote under a pseudonym. No names, no drama, just facts, and a voice that didn't shake anymore. Title: Survival Isn't Silence. I ended the post with one line. Sometimes healing doesn't come with hugs. It comes with distance. I hit publish, closed the laptop, kissed Noah's forehead, and smiled. Not because it was over, but because it was finally mine to continue.